The Jungkook you married was not just a man, he was a CEO cold, intimidating and so controlled that people froze in his presence. You, on the other hand, had always been soft-hearted, warm and affectionate. Everyone said the two of you were like fire and ice. You thought maybe, just maybe, your warmth would melt his ice Gemini over time, but life with Ji and Jungkook had been complicated. The morning sun peeked through the grand glass windows of your mansion, but the room still felt cold, mostly because of the man sleeping beside you. Jungkook, you whispered softly, brushing your hand over his arm. He stared, frowning in his sleep. You always liked to cuddle in the morning, but he usually pulled away. You leaned closer on way, wrapping one arm around his waist. Good morning, husband. Jungkook's eyes flitted open, dark and sharp. His deep voice, still raspy from sleep, broke the silence. You are awake. You are awake early again. You smiled, trying to lighten his mood. Well, someone has to wake up and make sure you eat breakfast instead of going straight to work. He signed, sitting up, your arms sliding over him. You don't have to act like my babysitter, Ryan. I can take care of myself. The world stung a little, but you marks it with a smile. I know, I just care about you. Jungkook did not reply. Instead, he got out of bed, buttoning up his crisp white shirt like he was preparing. That was how he always was, aloof, distant, and absorbed in his work. The dining room was massive, but you always filled it with your chatter, trying to make things less stiff. Jungkook the chef tried a new pancake recipe today. Want me to make you a plate? You asked hopeful. I will just have black coffee, he replied without looking up from his table. Your smile flattered, but you needed coffee. It is. You sat quietly across from him, fingers finding with the spoon. You always wanted to reach across the table, hold his hand, tease him, laugh with him. But Jungkook kept his walls up high. That evening, Jungkook's parents and older brother came over. You always tried to be the perfect daughter-in-law, polite, respectful, caring. You rushed around making sure the dinner was perfect, adjusting flower arrangements personally, chasing dishes and welcoming everyone with warm hugs. Why aren't you are glowing as always? Jungkook's mother said with a polite smile. Thank you, Imoni. You replied sweetly, bowing slightly. Jungkook meanwhile sat at the head of the table like a king, sipping his wine and saying very little throughout dinner. You kept leaning to a Jim. Do you like the kimchi? I asked the chef to make it less spicy because I know you prefer it mild. He only hummed in response. You reached for his glass. Let me refill that for you. Vian Jungkook interrupted in a low tone. I can pour my own drink. Your cheeks burned at the dismissive tone. You quickly sat back, biting your lip. His parents' insistent glances. Later that night, after cleaning the dishes, you went to the kitchen to grab dessert plates. That's when you heard it. You froze just outside the hallway when you heard his mother's voice. She's a little much, is not she? Always hovering around him, trying to serve him every second. Your heart skipped. His older brother chuckled softly. Clingy, that's a word. Jungkook does not need someone fussing over him like a child. He needs someone who understands his words, not someone desperate for attention. You felt your chest tighten painfully clingy. Desperate was that what they thought of you? You press your hands against your mouth to stop the soup from escaping. Jungkook's voice cut in deep and firm for a second. Your heart leaped, hoping he would defend you. She's just like that. I have told her many times she does not need to. overdo it. Your breath hitched. He did not defend you. He agreed. Sometimes inside you broke quietly at that moment. That night when you and Jungkook went to bed, you did not cuddle close to him like you always did. Instead, you lay stiffly on your side, facing away. Jungkook noticed. You are not going to talk my ear off tonight? He asked almost sarcastically. No, you whispered, keeping your voice steady. Good night, Jungkook. There was silence. He stared at your back, brows furrowing. You had always been the one clinging, hugging, talking, swinging, smiling. But now you are not, and for the first time, Jungkook felt something strong stirred inside him, an emptiness he could not name. The next morning, you wake up before Jungkook as usual, but you did not lean over to kiss his forehead like you normally did. You did not brush his hair out of his eyes or whisper a sweet good morning. Instead, you quietly got out of bed and headed downstairs. But the time Jungkook came down, you had already set the table with breakfast. But this time, you did not sit across from him. You placed the coffee pot on and said softly, "Your coffee ready." Then you sat at the far end of the table with your own plate, focused on eating. Jungkook glanced up from his table, throwing, "You are not going to ask me to try something new again?" You gave a faint smile without meeting his eyes. "Only if you want to." He narrowed his gaze. Something felt off. A few days later, you visited his office with lunch like you always used to, but this time you did not step inside with a bright smile and chatter. You simply knocked, placed the lunchbox on his desk, and said, "I brought this. If you are busy, I will leave it here." Jungkook looked up from his laptop, surprised. "You are not going to sit and eat with me?" You shook your head. "No, you must have work. I don't want to disturb you." Then you turned to leave. Ryan, his voice was sharper than usual. You stopped, turning slightly. "Yes." He studied you, trying to read your expression. "Nothing." He muttered, finally leaning back in his chair. "Go." You left quietly, and Jungkook felt an unaccepted irritation simmering in his chest. One evening, Jungkook hosted a formal dinner at home with some of his business friends who used to always sit beside him, refilling his glass softly, placing food on his plate, smiling and making the atmosphere lighter. But this time you sat across the table quietly eating your own food. You did not serve him, did not lean towards him, did not laugh at his dry remarks. One of his friends teased, "Usually your wife is all over you, Jungkook. Did you two fight?" Jungkook's jaw tightened. "She's just being quiet today." Everyone checked slightly, but Jungkook's eyes stayed on you the whole time. You never looked back. That night, Jungkook closed the bedroom door with more force than necessary. "You have been acting strange these days," he said, removing his watch. You were sitting at the vanity, brushing your hair. You kept your tone even. "I am fine." "No, you are not." He came closer, his reflection about appearing in the mirror behind you. His eyes were sharp, searching. "You don't talk to me like before. You don't cling anymore." You flinched at the word, lowering your gaze. "Maybe I realized you don't like it." Jungkook frowned. "What the hell does that mean?" You stood, moving past him towards the bed. "It means I don't want to bother you anymore." "You are busy. You don't need me." Fusing over you, his hand shot out, grabbing your wrist. "Since when did you decide that?" You looked at him, forcing a small smile. "Since I realized not everyone likes too much affection." There was something in your eyes, heard quiet resignation that unsettled him deeply. But before he could press further, you gently pulled your hand away. Good night, Jungkook. You lay down, turning your back to him again. For the second time that week, Jungkook found himself staring at your back in silence. His chest felt heavier than usual. Over the next few days, your behavior remained the same, distant, polite, but never warm. You stopped texting him reminders to eat. You stopped hugging him when he returned home. You stopped fusing over his chai before work. And Jungkook noticed every single change at a company event on the one of his female colleagues leaned close to him, laughing softly at something. Normally, you would have appeared at his side, slipping your arms around his, glaring possessively in your sweater. But this time, you stood across the hall, quietly chatting with another guest, not even spotting him a glance. Jungkook chuckling, she excused himself quickly and walked over to you. Who is that? He asked, abruptly nudging at the man you were speaking to. You blinked. He's Mr. Han, works in finance. Why are you talking to him so much? You raised an eyebrow because we were introduced at what people do at even. He scoffed, glaring. You never talk to other men in this much. You gave a bitter smile. Maybe you just never noticed before. His hand rolled into a fist at his side, but before he could respond, you excused yourself and leaving Jungkook rooted in place. Frustration burning through him that night. Jungkook sat alone in his study, whiskey glass in hand. You used to come in here all the time, bringing him tea, nagging him to rest, pressing soft kisses on his cheek until he relented. But tonight you had not even peeked inside. He muttered under his breath, why does it feel so damn empty without her annoying chatter? For the first time, Jungkook realized he had gotten used to your presence, your affection. He had taken it for granted, and now that it was gone, the silence was unreadable. His chest tightened as memories replayed in his head. Your soft smiles, your clingy hugs, the way you always reached for his hand, no matter how coldly he pulled away, and now he was not sure how to get that back. Another week passed and Jungkook's parents came over again. Normally, you would fuss over every detail, pouring tea, sitting close to Jungkook, laughing at his father's jokes, making sure his plate was full. But this time you kept a polite smile, did your duties quietly, and then excused yourself halfway through the evening to check on something upstairs. Jungkook noticed immediately. Wine is not usually this quiet, his mother commented lightly. I hope you two did not fight. Junko forced a tight smile. No, she's just different lately. His father chuckled. Well, maybe it's good she was a little too clingy before, always hovering. Maybe she's finally adjusting to married life. Jungkook's expression hardened. Something about the word clingy made his chest twist uncomfortably now. He remembered the way you had said it. Maybe I realized you don't like it. For the rest of the dinner, he could not focus. His parents kept chatting, but his mind was on you alone upstairs, withdrawing further and further from him. Later that night, when his parents let Jungkook went upstairs to find you already in bed reading a book, you left the dinner early. He said flatly, "You looked up. They did not need me there." His brows furrowed. "You always stay. You always." He trailed off, frustrated, running a hand through his hair. "You're different. I don't like it." You gave a faint smile, eyes dropping back to your book. "You will get used to it." Something inside him snapped. He grabbed the book from your hands, tossing it onto the nightstand. "Stop acting like this, Ryan." His voice was sharp, demanding. You met his gaze calmly, too. Your heart was racing. Like what? Like a stranger, he bit out, "You don't talk to me, you don't touch me, you don't even look at me the same way." You're too tightened, but you forced the words out. "I am giving you space. Is not that what you always wanted?" Jungkook froze, his chest rose and fell heavily, but for once he did not know what to say. "You lay back, don't turning away. Good night, Jungkook." He stood there for a long time, staring at your back, feeling the distance like a wall he could not break. A few days later, Jungkook's sister knocked on his office door. "Sir, Mr. Jian just left. She dropped off lunch for you." Jungkook's head snapped up. He did not come in. "No, sir. She said you were busy and did not want to disturb you." Jungkook's jaw clenched. He pushed back his chair and stood abruptly. Later, he overheard two employees whispering in the hallway, "Mr. Jian does not a visit like before. Maybe they are having problems." She was always so clingy. But now she barely even stays around him. The words again clingy. Jungkook stormed back into his office, slamming the door. His reflection in the glass wall stared back at him, cold, composed, but his fists were trembling. He muttered to himself, "Why does it feel wrong now? Why do I miss it?" That night you were in the garden, watching the plants quietly under the moonlight. You liked the calm. It gave you space to breathe away from the suffocating weight of trying too hard. Jungkook walked out his stool, fight, casting a shadow. "You have been avoiding me." You did not look up. "I am right here." "Don't play games, Ryan," he snapped. "You are not the same. You barely even look at me anymore." You put the watching can down, finally meeting his eyes. "Do you even realize what it feels like, Jungkook? To keep giving love to someone who never wants it?" He stiffened. "You think I don't want it? You have made it clear from the beginning." Your voice shook, but you held your ground. "Every time I tried to care, you pushed me away. Every time I reached for you, you act like I was annoying. Even last week, your parents said I was clingy, and you agreed." Jungkook's breath catch, his chest tightened painfully. You hear that. You noted tears brimming in your eyes, but refusing to fall. "I finally realized maybe I should stop. Maybe I should stop trying so hard for someone who does not even see me." The silence that followed was deafening. Jungkook's throat worked as he tried to find words. His usual sharpness failed him. For once he looked lost. Ryan, he started, but his voice was low, almost broken. "I did not mean." He trailed off, clenching his fist. You shook your head, stepping past him. "It does not matter anymore. I am done being clingy." And with that, you walked back inside, leaving him rooted to the spot. His heart pounding with an edge he did not understand. That night, Jungkook sat in the dark living room, staring at the untouched glass of whiskey in his hand. He had always prided himself on control, on being untouchable, but now, with your slipping away, control felt like a curse. He remembered the warmth of your hugs, the way your laughter filled the empty spaces of his cold world, and now silence. He whispered into the empty room, "Why does it hurt so much now?" The company's annual gala was one of the biggest events of the year. As Jungkook's wife, you had always stood proudly by his side, greeting guests, smiling for cameras, holding his arm as if it was the most natural thing in the world. But this time you sat at a distant table, quietly chatting with some acquaintances instead of standing next to him. Jungkook noticed immediately. Throughout the evening, his eyes kept drifting towards you, your polite smile, your composed posture, the way you Deliberately avoiding looks at him, he felt an odd jealousy watching you laugh lightly at something another woman said. When once you only laughed that freely with him, when a young exotic offered you his hand to lead you to the dance floor, Jungkook's patience snapped. He strode across the hall. He called Yura, watching the crowds, and grabbed your wrist before you could take the man's hand. She's not available, Jungkook said, icily pulling you closer to him. The man stuttered, bowing quickly. Of course, Mr. Jian. My apologies. You stared up at Jungkook's wide-eyed. Jungkook, what are you doing? Stopping you from making a mistake, he muttered, dragging you out of the ballroom. The moment the door of the empty corridor shut behind you, you yanked your head free. Are you out of your mind? That was humiliating. Jungkook's jaw was tightened, eyes blazing, humiliating. Watching my wife let another man touch her, that's humiliating. You suffocated, being polite, and why do you care? You never cared before. Even looked to at me in public. Jungkook is not real flared. That's different. How you shoot back tears, pricking your eyes. You have never wanted me close. Every time I held your hand, you pulled away. Every time I hugged you, you stiffened. I was always the one trying, always the one reaching, and you made me feel like a burden. Your voice broke, raw and etching. Do you even realize how small that made me feel? Like I was not your wife, just someone annoying. Shadows clinging to you. Jungkook's froze, his heart slammed painfully against his ribs as your words pierced through every layer of ice he had bullied around himself. Why? His voice was slow, trembling in a way you had never heard before. You shook your head, turning away as tears spilled down your cheeks. I can't keep being the only one fighting for us. For a long moment, silence stretched between you. Jungkook stood frozen, staring at the woman who had given him her heart so freely, and he, like a fool, had crushed it with his indifference. He thought about the nights you had waited up for him, the meals you had prepared, the little notes you used to slip into his briefcase. He had dismissed them all as too much, never realizing they were pieces of your love. And now those pieces were gone because of him. Jungkook stepped closer, his voice breaking. I thought keeping distance would protect us, protect me. I did not want to depend on anyone. I did not want to. He clacked his jaw, unable to finish. You turned, your tear-streaked face touching his. Did not want to what? His eyes spun as he finally let the word out. Did not want to fall in love because I was afraid your breath catch. You would? Jungkook reached for you, hesitated, then finally cupped your face with trembling hands. I was afraid of needing you, afraid that if I let myself enjoy your affection, I would not know how to live without it. And I was right because now that you have stopped, I feel like I can't breathe. Your heart pounded wildly. His confession was raw, unpolished but real. Jungkook, you whispered, voice shaking. He pulled you closer, forehead pressing against yours. I don't care if the words calls you clingy. I don't care. My parents think you are too much. You are mine, and I. His voice cracked. Can't lose you. You stood frozen, his word echoing in your chest. For so long, you had waited for even the smallest sign that he cared, and now, finally, he was speaking. Slowly, your hand lifted to grip his shirt, clutching desperately. That why did it take me pulling away for you to realize it? His arms wrapped around you tightly, pulling you against his chest as though he was afraid you had vanished because I was a crutch. He whispered into your chest, but not anymore. I'm not letting you go. Why not ever? For the first time in months, you felt his warmth, not just his body, but his heart. His embrace was firm, almost desperate, and his breath shook against your neck. Your tears flowed freely, but this time they were not only from pain. Jungkook titled your face up, his eyes said image valuable in a way you had never seen. Forgive me, he whispered, please. Before you could reply, his lips crashed onto yours, hungry, etching years of suppressed feelings pouring out in one kiss. It was not the cold, careful Jungkook you knew. It was a man stripped bare, clinging to the one thing he could not afford. Your hands gripped his shoulder, responding to the kiss with all the longing you had bottled up. The kiss deep and desperate as to both of you were trying to raise the months of distance in a single moment. When he finally pulled back, his forehead rested against yours, his breath wrecked. I love you, he confessed. Hoarsely, I love you, and I should said it long ago, but I was too German stubborn. Too afraid. Don't leave me, please. Tears streamed on your face as you whispered. You don't know how long I have waited to hear that. His arms tightened around you as if sealing a silence now. The evening was quiet. Jungkook stood by the window of his office at home, his reflection catch against the city lights. He looked restless, hands in his pockets, head low. He has spent the last week obsessive. I am the way she no longer reached out for his hand, the way her laughter had diamond, the way she carefully avoiding being clingy, and it killed him. For the first time in years, the cold chaos felt and His could not control. Ryan entered the room with a tray of tea. He turned instantly, watching her delicate movements. She placed the cup on the table, murmured softly, "Your tea," and turned to leave. Ryan, his tea voice called out. She froze slowly. She turned back, eyes questioning. Jungkook took a long step towards her. His voice was softer than usual, hesitant, almost trembling. Why don't you look at me anymore?" Ryan blinked, startled. "What do you mean?" He clenched. He started trying to put words together. "You used to smile at me, hug me without reason, call me even when I was busy. You used to annoy me with your affection." His eyes darkened, filled with something she had not seen before. Now it's gone, all of it. Why? Her chest tightened. She had been holding back for so long, pretending not to care. Tears pricked at her eyes, but she swallowed them down. "Because your family thinks I am clingy," she whispered, "and maybe they are right. Maybe I was a burden to you, so I stopped." Jungkook's heart dropped, his cold mask cracked. "Who told you that?" His tone sharp, protective. She looked on. "I overheard them, and I realized you never denied it." Silence filled the room. Jungkook's fist clenched at his sides, veins visible for the first time. One saw guilt flash across his face. He walked closer, stopping lying in the front of her. His hand lifted, trembling, before resting gently under her chin to lift her face. Her tears eyes Matches, I did not it, he admitted voice hoarse, because I did not know how to speak. I am not good at showing feelings, Ryan. I thought if I stayed quiet, you had ignored their words. He thought frightened, but instead you started ignoring me. Her tears fell. I thought you did not care. His chest scratched at her broken tune. Without another word, Jungkook pulled her into his arm, holding her fighter than ever before. His cold exterior shattered completely. I care more than you will ever know, he whispered against her ear. I need your hugs, your laughter, your love. I need all of it, Ryan. Without you, his house is empty, I am empty. She closed his shirt, sobbing quietly, but you never said it. He pulled back slightly, chopping her face with both hands, his eyes clenched with unshed tears. I am saying it now. I love you. I love the way you are clingy, the way you follow me around, the way you make me words warm. Don't you ever stop, please. Don't hold back from me again. Her lips trembled. You love me. Yes, he breathed, forehead pressing against hers more than anything. You are my heart, Payan. The heaviness that had been suffocating her chest finally lifted. A soft smile broke through her tears. I love you too, Jungkook. Relief washed over him. He leaned on, capturing her lips in a desperate, tender kiss, not cold, not restrained, but dry and overflowing with love. From that day, Jungkook was no longer just the cold CEO. He became the man who had his wife's hand in front of everyone, who did not hesitate to kiss her cheek in the morning, who defending her fiercely if anyone dared to call her clingy. One evening at a family dinner, when his mother casually remarked, "Wine is always so attached to you," Jungkook simply smirked and wrapped his arms around Ryan's shoulders. "She is my life," he said proudly, kissing the top of her head, "and I want her attached to me forever." Ryan's cheeks flushed red, but her heart bloomed with happiness. Finally, she had the love she deserved, not hidden, not cold, but warm and unshakable. And Jungkook finally learned that love was not weakness, it was his greatest strength. The end.